All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of the Go Accomplish More podcast. Thank you so much for being here. So lately, I have been going deep on something a lot of agency owners struggle with, including me at different points. You're posting content, you're showing up consistently, but it's not actually turning into clients. And that can be frustrating. And the more I dug into this, the more I realized the problem usually isn't that you're not posting enough, it's that you're solving the wrong problem entirely. Today, I want to break down 5 truths about content and personal brand that changed how I think about what I post, why I post it, and who it's actually for. My hope is that by the end of this episode, you'll walk away with at least one thing you can change about your content this week. Let's jump right in. So truth number 1 is views don't pay payroll. One of the first things that hit me was this. The content that makes the most money is almost never the content that gets the most views. Reach and revenue are 2 completely different games. If you're chasing views, you might be winning the wrong scoreboard. And I think we all fall into this trap. We sometimes fall into the vanity metrics because it looks good, right? You're getting all these views, you post a video and you get 2,000 views on the video, you get a lot of engagement and it just feels good, right? You get that dopamine, right? High end. And in the end of the day, that's not going to pay your bills. Like that's not going to get you more revenue most of the time. If you're posting, let's say, for example, 5 reels per week, you're hitting all the social platforms, Instagram, you're doing the shorts as well on YouTube, and you're being consistent with your content. But let's say that even with your consistency, you're getting a lot of engagement, but then you're not getting those discovery calls. You're not closing more sales. You're not getting more at-bats. You have to start looking at your content. Like, what is it that you're posting, right? And I'm a huge advocate that you need to be human on your posting and on your videos. And I usually follow like 4 or 5 pillars where I talk about self-development, leadership, fitness, hiring, about operations, about AI. But in the end, if those videos are not converting, or at least the majority of them, if they're not pushing that ideal client into a sale, then it's not that it's a waste, but in the end, I'm doing a lot of effort and we're not getting the results, right? So you want to get results. That's the end goal. So what I would recommend is that you have a balance, right? That you're not only just posting about fitness or about leadership, but you're also posting about your avatar, what their pain points are, right? Let's say that you're an agency and your niche is lawyers, right? You want to make sure that on your videos, you're speaking to them. You're speaking to their pain points. You're speaking also the solutions to their pain point. You're even calling out their name. Like, let's say if they're family law, right? You say, like, attention family law attorneys. I understand that you're going through this. And you speak to their pain point. And you have that balance where you can post about, let's say, your morning workout, but in the end, you also have to be posting about your avatar and then having the call to action, right? And I usually follow the model or the structure is hook, story, offer. So you want to make sure that you hook them and talk about their pain points as a hook. Story, maybe explain your personal story on that particular problem that they have. And then the offer, right? Like, what is the call to action, right? So I want to ask you a question is, are you tracking views or are you tracking who actually became a client? And I think if you have that in mind, if you have that mindset shift, it's going to allow you to be more proactive when you're creating content. All right, truth number 2 is you don't have a content problem, you have a proof problem. And let me explain. Before content works, you need something worth saying. A brand that actually converts starts with real results, not just a camera, right, and a ring light. People can tell the difference, right, between someone performing expertise and someone who's actually done the work. So what am I saying here is that you want to make sure that when you're doing videos that you're being transparent. Whether you are an agency that you're in the beginning stages and maybe you do have some proof of concept and you can tell your client like, hey, I have these testimonials, I have 1 or 2, but be honest with them. Show them the proof that you have. You don't want to talk about something that you don't have proof of, right? And this goes with if you're a smaller agency or if you're a bigger agency, you want to make sure that you're talking about the proof, right? In our world, when we started, we would be talking about, hey, we're the experts in hiring, we're the experts in operation, we're the experts in this. And at the moment, we did have one or two testimonials, but it wasn't the same until we had more, right? When we had more testimonials and we had more proof of concept, our videos became more of a magnet, right? People were actually listening to us. And so the more proof you have, the more your video is going to have more relevance, right? I really believe that. But still, you should always start creating content in whatever stage you're in, right? No matter if you have just one testimonial, or if, let's say, you've created just one workflow and that workflow helped you to have better retention, you can talk about that, right? You have some proof of concept. But the goal is that as you grow your agency, you're going to have more proof that you are legit, right? In our world, we just hit the Inc. 5000, right? And we have like 100 plus team members. And so we know how to hire, right? We know how to guide agencies, like agency owners, on what their next hire should be, on what they shouldn't do. We can talk about operations because we know how to manage so many team members because the proof of concept is there. So ask yourself, if you stopped posting today, would people still know you're good at what you do? So that's something to think about. All right, truth number 3 is your content needs a buyer, not just an audience. So a lot of content is built to entertain everybody every day, right? I have friends that send me cat videos, or I have a golden doodle and they've sent me these videos that the golden doodle's dancing, and it's funny, right? And it gets a lot of views, and right? But content that actually leads to clients is built for someone specific. That's the difference. You have those funny videos and you have those videos that get a lot of views and a lot of attention. But if it's not specific to a pain point, to your buyer, to your niche, or maybe a specific stage they're in or a specific problem, when you try to talk to everyone, you usually end up converting no one. So I'm not saying that you can't post videos that talk about, let's say, like I said earlier, about fitness or about your personal journey, but you want to make sure that you have the higher percentage of videos should be talking about more about the pain points about your clients, more on how you can help them, and then you're going to be able to convert more. Those videos are not going to be that popular, of course. You're not going to get that many views compared to the cat video, but in the end of the day, you want to make sure you have a balance, and at the same time, you're actually focusing. And when I think about this, I think about top of the funnel versus bottom of the funnel, right? Top of the funnel, if you don't know that analogy, it's more of engaging videos. You want to, if no one has ever heard of, let's say, your agency, you want to make sure that you have a little bit of a combination, show your realness, show that you're human, but at the same time, create videos that will draw the awareness, right? But you're not going to be very salesy. You're not going to have too much of a call to action when it comes to top of the funnel. Once they start learning more about you, then you can do more bottom of the funnel. Or you can do them both at the same time. Like I believe, unless if you're running ads, you want to make sure that you start with top of the funnel. But if your audience already knows you, let's say, for example, you have a lot of people that follow you on Facebook, and your ideal clients already know you because you've been posting consistently, not only your cat videos, not only your fitness videos, but also about business and about their pain points, then you can literally post more videos like on bottom of the funnel strategies than top of the funnel. So make your videos more actionable, talk to their pain points. When you're posting, are you picturing the actual person in your brain or just posting into the void? And I think that your mindset will switch if you start thinking of that one client in your head that actually has the problem, has needs that you have the solution for. It's going to help you to create the video that your ideal prospect is looking for. All right. Truth number 4 is your brand is what people say about you when you're not in the room. Think about that. Here's something that reframed how I think about branding. Your brand isn't what you say about yourself. It's the association people already have when your name comes up. That association gets built one experience, one interaction, and one piece of value at a time. I've told numerous of people, hey, when you hear my name, what comes to mind? A lot of times they tell me, well, John, what comes to mind is that you're a family man, you love business, you love your dog, you love to talk about leadership. I mean, I get different answers to the question, right? Because people, they'll resonate with your content with the different pillars that you're offering. So that's why it's important to have different pillars. I'm not saying just to focus on just business content, right? And just talking about pain points. I would say the majority of the content should be based on your ideal avatar, talking about their pain points, talking about the solutions you have for them. Like, let's say 70% should be about them. And then 30% you can talk about your personal pillars, right? And I think if you do that, it's going to allow you to reach people, because remember, you're actually doing business with people, doing business with a company. You're actually doing business with a person, because that person is going to resonate with you with whatever is resonating with him. There's going to be some connection when it comes to content. So you want to make sure that you're positioning yourself in the right way. So ask yourself, if a client described you to another agency, what would they say? And that could be even a good survey, that you can send to your friends or to business associates. Ask them that question, because it's good to know. All right, truth number 5, and this is the last one, is consistency protects what you've already built. The last thing that stuck with me is building a brand people trust is one thing, but keeping that trust is a different job entirely. One inconsistent move, one broken promise, one moment of cutting corners can undo years of credibility. Staying sharp matters just as much as getting sharp. So I'm a huge proponent that your reputation is so important, right? What you say to your client, you want to make sure that you keep your word, right? And I can tell you a story where there was a client that wasn't happy with us, right? And I'm sure it's happened to you. It was a complicated client. And in the end of the day, he was requesting a refund for a whole month and a half, almost 2 months. And at first I could have fought it because he didn't have the right to. But then in the end of the day, you don't want that person to start talking things that are not true about your agency. So in the end of the day, it's not worth it. So we gave him the refund. We didn't care, because what we look at is reputation. Reputation is more important than that extra buck, because one bad client, 2 bad clients, 3 bad clients can multiply. And then in the end, you have a lot of people talking false things about your agency. So it's very important that you maintain your identity, you maintain that trust factor with people. And if someone is not happy with your service, of course, try to resolve it, see if you can come to some common ground. But in the end of the day, your reputation is very important. So ask one thing you'd never compromise on, even if it cost you a sale. This is where your core values comes in. If you don't have core values in your agency, you want to make sure that you write them down. Because if your clients are not happy, that's where your core values are going to come into the mix, right? Are you going to stand for your core values? Before we wrap up, I want to give you some action items. Because if you're not taking action, then this episode was just nice to hear, right? It was nice to hear my voice, and you're probably working out now, wherever you're at listening to this podcast. I want to make sure that you're grabbing what you learn and you want to take action, even if it's just one action item. So I'm going to give you 5 action items. And I want you, the goal is to take at least 1 or 2 of these that really resonate with you. So number 1 is look back at your last 10 posts. How many were built for views versus built for a buyer? And you're going to see, if you feel like 90% are just views, then you have to adjust your content, right? And you want to make sure that that's either a 50% or maybe 60% towards, hey, I want to create more content that focus on my ideal avatar, focus on their pain points, so that I can get more discovery calls and more leads and more sales, right? That's the goal, right? And at the same time, you want to have a balance. So that's number 1. Number 2 is write down exactly who your buyer is in 1 sentence. Who's your niche? Who's your ideal avatar? Because if you don't, then you're not going to hit the mark, right? You want to make sure that that's clear. Number three is ask yourself if your results back up what your content is claiming. Or maybe you haven't. Maybe you've done content and you've talked about something that you don't even have results in. So you need to adjust your content and say, okay, what am I good at? What do I have tangible results from that I can use as leverage to help my ideal client? Number four is identify one thing people say about you that you want to protect. Your integrity, that you're very transparent, whatever it is, your reputation is very important. Number five is post one piece of content this week speaking directly to that one buyer. And that goes back with you analyzing all your posts and start at least posting 1 or 2 posts per week that speaks to your ideal client. Guys, that's all I have. If you've received value from today's episode, I'd really appreciate if you'd follow or subscribe to the Go Accomplish More podcast. If you enjoyed it, please leave a quick 5-star review. It helps more agency owners discover the show. It also encourages me to keep on going. And if someone came to mind while you were listening, share the episode with them. Thank you so much, and see you in the next episode.